Madam Chair, members of the committee, let me begin by thanking your staff for putting forward what I believe are some very good and constructive amendments, and would like to formally say that we will be accepting the amendments that you have proposed. I also would like to just state that those amendments, I believe, address about 90 to 95% of the concerns that have been put forward by the opposing stakeholders. That being said, AB 2414 is a local district bill that would allow the voters of the Coachella Valley to consider expansion of the existing Desert Healthcare District to include 4 other cities, 4 of the 9 cities that make up the Coachella Valley along with the unincorporated areas. Just so you understand a little bit of background, this discussion about expansion of a healthcare district has been an ongoing discussion in my district for almost 2 decades. And let me paint a picture of what the district looks like that we're referring to. Currently, there are significant barriers preventing medical services to be provided to the residents of the eastern Coachella Valley to access healthcare providers and many other services. There's shortages in primary care physicians, shortages in various medical and surgical specialties, a lack of urgent care services, and a lack of transportation. Medical infrastructure really is what we're referring to. In the 2010, there was a study done by the Coachella Valley Healthcare Initiative that found that the eastern part of the Coachella Valley has approximately 9,000 residents for every doctor in that area. That is 4 times the amount above the federal government's minimum recommendation for doctors and population. The eastern Coachella Valley is the only place in North America where twice a year the organization that we know as the Flying Doctors come to town and help about 4,000 residents to get medical services in one day. The Flying Doctors' mission is to operate under the Mother Teresa principle of focusing on the poorest of the poor who live in conditions that are difficult for most Americans to imagine. This is my district. This organization goes around to third world countries to provide healthcare services. This bill will specifically require the Riverside County Board of Supervisors and or the Desert Healthcare District to file a resolution with LAFCO. The resolution will state that LAFCO will initiate a comprehensive review and make recommendations on the new boundaries. The bill will also expand the governance structure, going from 5 to 7 board members to ensure that there are representatives on the board from the expanded areas. After those board members will be added, the board will continue to operate in its regular governance structure that's been set up by the state of California. The expansion and the funding for the healthcare district, which we've talked about for about 2 decades, is something that is being analyzed by the California Endowment through a feasibility study that they will present to LAFCO during their process. The Desert Healthcare District has a long history, and it's been acknowledged, of success in serving half of my assembly district's needs and its residents. The Desert Healthcare District leaders are acutely aware of the necessary expansion of the healthcare districts, and they've supported this effort in concept. And expanding the current healthcare district will definitely help put a tool in the toolbox to addressing the many healthcare disparities that exist in the Coachella Valley. With me today is a representative of the city of Coachella who will speak briefly on the importance of this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Assemblymember and Madam Chair, for allowing me to address the committee. My name is Mark Weber. I'm the Economic Development Manager for the City of Coachella. I'm representing Mayor Stephen Hernandez from the City of Coachella. While this is an economic issue, it's obviously a healthcare issue as well. My interest as an Economic Development Manager is in the fact that the jobs and the economic activity that come with good medical services naturally follows and allows business expansion to occur. From the healthcare side, the city has a specific goal in its economic development strategy to bring more medical services because we see that as a hindrance to alleviating the poverty in our community. Recent studies have shown that we've got well over 20% of our community in the city of Coachella are living below the federal poverty level. As the Assembly member had indicated, a number of studies have been done, and a health needs assessment was also conducted at the city of Coachella in 2011, also confirming that the 1 to 9,000 patient to doctor ratio. It's really sad to see that occurring in the United States at this time, and especially in our community. We've got an obvious mismatch in the amount of services that are needed and the healthcare capacity in our community. In the Coachella Valley, we have over 400,000 residents that rely on 81 emergency beds, and in the Eastern Valley, we only have 12 emergency department beds that are in the city of Indio, our neighboring city. So that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what we're really dealing with there. Also, I wanted to just add that as a former hospital trustee, where I served for 4 years on a acute care and emergency hospital, as well as a former member of the Clínicas de Salud del Pueblo, FQHC, these type of organizations clearly see the need that is occurring, and they are listed as some of the supporters, as well as Borrego Healthcare and a number of other committees. So we just urge and really thank the Assembly member for continuous leadership in healthcare in our community, as he started when he was our mayor several years ago, and continues to march on and really try to help address the disparities in our underserved community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else speaking in support today?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. Gregory Kramer on behalf of Planned Parenthood Affiliates of California. As the author had mentioned, the Coachella Valley is suffering from lack of access issues, and as a provider, a safety net provider within the Coachella Valley, we see these struggles, and so we commend the author on his attempt to try to expand greater care into the Coachella Valley.
Thank you. Anyone speaking in opposition to this bill today?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Pamela Miller, representing the State Association of Local Agency Formation Commissions. I want to start by thanking Assemblymember Garcia. He spent a great deal of time yesterday with myself and the executive officer from Riverside LAFCO, and it was very clear to me and to George how passionate the Assembly member is about this issue. And I want to make it clear that our opposition is not related to the intent of the bill, because the reality is we support the intent of the bill. It's the process outlined. And I want to thank the Assembly member for accepting the committee amendments, because, as he indicated, they do address a number of the concerns that we have. And as the Assembly member indicated, this has been a discussion that's been going on for almost 2 decades now down in the Coachella Valley. Unfortunately, it's never been formally pursued at the LAFCO level, so the LAFCO's not had an opportunity to officially weigh in. The one remaining concern that we have relates to the restriction of the LAFCO authority. But I want to comment that we had a very productive conversation yesterday with the Assemblyman, and not only did it allow us an opportunity to understand his passion in the local issues, but I think he was able to walk away with an understanding of what our concerns are, and we made great progress in potentially finding a local solution to the issue. So I look forward to continuing that conversation with the Assemblymember Garcia. And I think we're moving in the right direction.
Wonderful. That was the nicest opposition I've ever heard.
I was just going to say that, too.
It's lovely opposition. Lovely. Okay.
You all know where we stand, but we're making progress. So
That's great. Anybody else speaking in opposition today? Okay. Mr. Gordon. And then Mr. Alejo.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. We've also had to discuss this issue. And I'm very, very aware of the disparities in what's available for health care in the area currently covered by the district and the area that you want to see annexed. And I think there's a compelling case for inclusion around disparity of health care. I have to be honest with you and tell you that I've long had problems with healthcare districts that no longer deliver direct hospital services. Originally, the law establishing these special districts were to help build hospitals in the state. Many of these healthcare districts have sold their hospitals and now are nothing more than private grant-making activities, or public grant-making activities. And they also oftentimes sit on huge reserves that are not being spent in the community. And so I actually carried legislation to try to eliminate this particular type of healthcare district. So I struggle a little bit about wanting to expand something that I at one point wanted to dissolve, and yet I'm very aware of the challenge that the community faces in terms of health disparity, and I express this to let you know that I'm struggling with my vote today, and but do appreciate your passion and what you were trying to do for your community.
Thank you.
Mr. Alejo and then Mr. Cooley.
Yeah. These healthcare districts, like I said, I think are critical, especially in these rural areas that many times don't have access directly. They're not in the proximity of a hospital. These are, they supplement, and I know this particular one is the main driver of wellness initiatives in an area I think that's currently almost 500 square miles. So it's a big area. It's in a rural community. And I get the goal of them trying to expand and provide additional services for the people. I think that's all a goal that we all have in terms of healthcare, is making sure it's healthcare is accessible and it's equitable. But just one thing to consider also is as you look to expand this district's coverage, it's an issue that came in one of my hospital districts back home, and that is who serves on these boards. It's an issue that's come before these city councils and school boards, but now more recently it's come on water boards and hospital districts, because they make the decisions of where these resources get used. And if the board doesn't reflect the community that it's serving, many voices are not at the table in that decision making. So in the Salinas Valley, we had healthcare district, I think 4 years ago, Salinas Valley Memorial Healthcare District, that within 2 election cycles of moving towards district elections, 3 of the 5 now, and that's the first 3 that opened up, are held by Latinos, where there was none before in the entire history of the district. So it's just something to ponder as you guys look to how do you make this district function wider and perhaps better. Also, who is part of that board and who constitutes it? Because if it's not reflecting the community, many people are not having their voices heard in these decisions and where these resources get spent. And I think it's a good question. I think it was a good question in my district, and certainly a good question as you look to change the governance structure of your hospital district.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cooley.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak briefly to this bill. I think this is a very important bill, and I look at it. I urge you early on to talk to Senator Hertzberg. Of course, we're exempting yourself a little bit from a statute he has his name on. Mm-hmm. But when he was involved in that, he was very much looking at how we make the law of California work better to solve problems, which I see this bill is trying to make some adjustments to solve a problem locally. Honestly, I look at this sort of measure. As a legislator, I am often reminded of a sermon that I heard preached when I was probably 18. I remember I went to church on a Sunday morning, and the sermon was on the strange topic of the 7 last words of the church. The 7 last words of the church. Turned out the 7 last words of the church were, we've never done it that way before. Oftentimes we face endeavors that if we just say, well, we're not going to go there because we've never done it before, then we'll just kind of wither away. So I commend you for trying to say, well, look at doing something new, to try to revive the quality of health care and broaden it to meet the needs of people. I think it's a very commendable undertaking, and I thank you for bringing it forward.
So, okay, and Ms. Waldron had some questions about the amendments. I don't know, did she get a copy of those?
I don't have the copy of the amendments. Did you take all the committee?
Yeah, that are-
Yes, they are the amendments outlined, I think, on number 5 in the analysis.
5 and 6.
5 and 6. And there are a few. There are a few that deal with the concerns that LAFCO brought forward as it relates to timelines. And so, yes, we've accepted all of the amendments.
Okay.
And anticipate that there may be others, based on the questions and comments that have been raised today. This healthcare district has a relationship with a hospital. They oversee a lease. They still own the hospital. They oversee a lease. And they do have a robust grant program that provides resources to nonprofit organizations providing health care. The boundaries limits their ability to go into the areas where we're speaking of a population where, again, we've outlined what the disparities are. In terms of the governance structure, we have had some feedback as it relates to the possibility of going to a district voting system to ensure that within the 9 cities that are there, you have representation that is reflective of those communities. So we'll consider all those as we move forward, and I thank you for the amendments, the comments, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
And I just like to say that in working with you on this issue, I have been incredibly impressed with your knowledge, tenacity, and passion.
Thank you very much.
And that is rarely, sir.
Well, thank you.
It's a do pass as amended.
The motion is do pass as amended and re-refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Eggman.
Aye.
Eggman, aye. Waldron. Aye. Waldron, aye. Alejo. Alejo, aye. Bonilla. Bonilla, aye. Chu. Cooley. Cooley, aye. Gaines. Gordon. Gordon, aye. Linder.
That measured out 6-0.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Thank you. Is Mr. Hernandez here? Okay. We'll have Ms. Waldron come up. Mr. Hernandez isn't here.
When we go to this, like we did last week, be sure to say adjourn until after we've done everything.
Got it. Ms. Waldron.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee. And thank you for working with me on this bill. I would like to begin by accepting the committee's suggested amendments in the analysis to remove Section 1 from the bill. So we're just going to be talking about the compensation for the board members. Assembly Bill 1757 would ensure parity among transportation and regional agencies in Southern California with regard to Board of Director compensation levels. In Southern California, these compensation levels are generally consistent among the various agencies, with board members receiving $150 per meeting attended. This compensation is important, as many of the board members must travel and take time away from their full-time jobs to participate on the public's behalf. In my district, the North County Transit District is different from its regional partners, with compensation levels at only half of its neighbors. For example, and their compensation has stayed the same since 1988, has been unchanged. San Diego Metropolitan Transit District Board is $150. The San Diego Association of Governments, SANDAG, is $150. The Los Angeles Transportation Authority is $150. So this bill would simply make the compensation level per meeting for board members of the North County Transit District commensurate with that of its partners. I would like to introduce our sponsor representing North County Transit District, Bridget Hennessy.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. We believe that it's time to bring NCTD in parity with our partner agencies. We appreciate the Assembly members' effort to bring us in parity with the district and our regional partners, and we urge an aye vote.
Thank you very much. Anybody speaking? Are you coming in support?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, Cesar Diaz on behalf of the State Building and Construction Trades Council. I want to thank this committee, the author, for working with us, and we remove our opposition and support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody speaking in opposition today? Okay, and that's been moved and seconded. Questions from the committee? Would you like to close, Ms. Waldron?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Committee, and I urge an aye vote.
And again, thank you very much for working with us and removing some of the areas that were problematic for you and your bill. Okay, Secretary, call the roll, please.
The motion is due pass as amended and refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Eggman.
Aye.
Eggman, aye. Waldron.
Aye.
Waldron, aye. Alejo. Alejo, aye. Bonilla. Bonilla, aye. Chu. Cooley. Cooley, aye. Gaines. Gordon. Linder.
5-0, it's out. Thank you. Congratulations. Mr. Hernandez.
All right, here we go.
Okay. And you have a due pass recommendation.
Well, I hope not.
That bill has been moved and seconded. You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, members. I appreciate the support, so I'll try to keep it incredibly brief. There is no requirement to retain drivers beyond 9 days through this bill, but what the bill will do is provide those drivers with some degree of certainty if the new contractor has agreed to retain them. They will have the 90-day period to prove they are capable in the hope of being retained permanently. And if not, if it provides them with a transition period to make arrangements in their households, in their job search. This bill is patterned after similar law in the transit industry. I respectfully ask for your aye vote. Before we move to testimony, I just want to acknowledge the presence here of Mr. Ron Herrera, Vice President of the International, Director of the Waste Division nationally, United States, actually internationally, United States and Canada, and also Secretary of Treasury of Teamsters Local 396 out of my district. So he happens to be here with us today, brings great expertise to this policy area. And so with that, I'd like to invite those testifying.
Madam Chair and members, I'll try to be brief, very broad with the Teamsters. We sponsored the original legislation in transit. I just want to make a couple things clear. This gives drivers, when the contracts change, 90 days of job retention for qualified drivers. So they have to be qualified under the employer standard qualifications. They don't have to hire any more people than they need, and it doesn't set their wages or establish their wages in any way. It's only 90 days of job retention. When we did this about 15 years ago in the transit industry, the transit industry was opposed. They said it would be very expensive, that it would be litigious, there would be all kinds of problems. Since it's passed, there's been no problems. There's not one recorded case of litigation. It's really worked very well. Almost about 99% of the time, all the bidders take the bid preference because they want qualified workers. And it's really important to understand that when somebody bids for one of these contracts, it's not like they have a series of unemployed drivers waiting around to start working who haven't been working. They don't have anybody. They need to hire someone. And especially in the area of solid waste, these drivers, they know the neighborhoods, they know the routes, they know the equipment. It's specialized equipment. So they're a really valuable resource. And we have a member here who can, talk about when it works and when it doesn't, because in some cases we have retention and it really works, and in some cases where we don't, it's been kind of a disaster. So I'd like to urge an aye vote. Thank you on behalf of the Teamsters.
Hi, my name is Rodrigo Martinez, and I work for Waste Management. And he is correct, not hiring the garbage men who already know the industry, the trucks, the routes. It's just better to hire people that know the industry. Hiring people off the streets don't know how to work the trucks. They forget homes or stops, and it's just better to hire people that know the areas and stuff. It's just a lot better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Richard Valle. I'm the president and CEO of Tri-Sed Community Recycling, which is located in southern Alameda County. We've been in business for almost 40 years, and we've always have been union. Our customers are our number one priority. This ensures that our customers will be seen seamless, and we've witnessed over those years 5 transitions, and if it wasn't for something in the RFP, that guaranteed that drivers would continue with their routes, and with the company making these transitions, we would be in trouble. We understand that that's not exactly the same throughout the state of California. For us, our customers are the most important priority, and the people of the state of California are the most important priority to make sure that their needs are met through a seamless transition when there's a change in contractors. So we fully support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else speaking in support today?
Michael Young on behalf of the California Labor Federation. We're also here in support.
Thank you. Anybody else speaking in opposition today?
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. Very briefly, Jason Schmelzer here on behalf of the Solid Waste Association of North America, California chapters. I think from our perspective, what we have here is just a question of local control and flexibility. Very much appreciate, frankly, the sponsors of this bill. We've been working with them on other issues. For this particular issue, the issue of local flexibility, for us, it's, well, what's the standard? There certainly is a general economic argument that's been presented that's compelling. There's not an acute problem, though, that's being solved by the bill. So for us, as operators of landfills, recycling centers, et cetera, I think we're kind of left looking for the problem that's being solved. And the question for us is, well, where's that line where the state then steps in and takes over kind of certain aspects of the contracting on local government? And we're just not sure that this bill meets that standard. So for those reasons, we're opposed to the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's something I'm always looking at when I think about bills. Are we solving a problem? And I know this bill puts us in line with other policies that we have that protects workers, and I think that's always important. But in my travels around my own district, I've talked with trucking agencies, and that's one thing to say. There is no shortage there is a shortage of truckers, and that's a fine profession for young people to go into because it pays well, and you can't get enough of them. So tell me, what problem are we solving with this bill?
Well, I'll give you a few examples. I come from a background where I had a chance to serve in local government, whether it was on the local board of ed where we had 23 sites where trash hauling services were provided to a population of over 23,000 students, or mayor of a city that was a population of 120,000 where the trash hauling contract and the busyness through our roads was a constant. Safety was clearly a concern. We just had 2 elections in my district, 2 of my cities, just yesterday. Trash hauling contract was always an area of discussion and debate in the election process. And what I've seen in LA, in the Southern California region, and I believe it's not exclusive to these areas, is that when the power of changes on the dais, when there's new electeds, many of times what I've witnessed over the years is that the trash contract may come up. There may be a changing of hands. And who's left holding the bag? Generally, the workers. And so we want to make sure that the workers that work for these companies that know the ins and outs of these neighborhoods, these communities, that benefit, that knowledge of our streets and neighborhoods remains, and that there's a transition period for those workers. If they're giving a 90-day period, that they have that to have sustainability for the family to transition, but also for the new company coming in that needs to hire up, they'll have the opportunity to benefit from those that know those streets in and out. Where we see the highest rate of injury and accident is with new people trying to figure out the new neighborhoods, the new towns, how streets are segmented into boulevards and don't run necessarily clear. So there's a safety benefit here. There is an employment benefit here. In my district, these folks these companies that benefit from these publicly granted contracts, the citizens that put these electeds, they want to make sure that the people that are working in the community are treated with respect, with dignity. They live in my community. So I know that my constituents want those working in West Covina, in La Puente, in Baldwin Park, in Azusa. They work for these companies. The companies are represented here, and they also live in these in the same communities. So they want to make sure that there is that assurance. So I think that's a tremendous benefit. Otherwise, these workers, this is what we're able to curb. These workers are left without a job on the street, and we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that there's a cushion.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions from the dais? Has that bill been moved and seconded? Yeah. Oh, okay. Would you like to close, Mr. Hernandez?
I think I've said enough. I would respectfully request your aye vote.
This is a due pass, and I would also welcome the president here to the Capitol today. And thank you for coming. And Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass, and we refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Eggman.
Aye.
Eggman, aye. Waldron. Alejo. Aye. Alejo, aye. Bonilla. Chu. Aye. Chu, aye. Cooley. Aye. Cooley, aye. Gaines.
No.
Gaines, no. Gordon. Aye. Gordon, aye. Linder. No. Linder, no.
Bill is out 5-2.
Thank you very much.
And we'll hold the roll open for 10 minutes for members to sign on.
Item 1, AB 1666, Assemblymember Bro. The motion is due pass as amended, and we refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Eggman.
Aye.
Eggman, aye. Chu.
Aye.
Chu, aye. Item 2, AB 1669, Assemblymember Roger Hernandez. Waldron. Bonilla. Bonilla, aye. Item 3, AB 1757, Waldron. Motion is due pass as amended. Chu.
Aye.
Chu, aye. Gaines. Gaines not voting. Gordon.
Aye.
Gordon, aye. Linder. Linder not voting. Item 4, AB 1974, Assemblymember Gallagher. We have everything on that. Item 5, AB 2228, Mr. Cooley. Eggman. Aye. Eggman, aye. Item 6, AB 2414, Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia. Chu.
Aye.
Chu, aye. Gaines. Gaines not voting. Linder. No. Linder, no. Item 7, AB 2502, Assemblymembers Mullen and Chu. Linder.
No.
Linder, no. Item 8. I have you as no. That's okay. Item 8, AB 2525, Assemblymember Holden. Chu.
Aye.
Chu, aye. Linder.
Aye.
Linder, aye. Item 9, AB 2713, Assemblymember Chu. Eggman. Eggman, aye. Item 10, AB 2734, Assemblymember Atkins. Gaines. No. Gaines, no. Item 11 is our consent calendar, AB 2841, Assemblymember Travis Allen. Bonilla. Is she here? Okay. Gaines? Aye. Gaines, aye. Linder? Aye. Linder, aye. Item 2, AB 1669, Assemblymember Hernandez. Waldron?
No.
No.
You own a business.